Imagine that you have a friend named Willis. Willis likes to drink sugary drinks. He drinks about 3 to 4 sugary drinks per day. Let's say that we could take a time machine into Willis' future. Willis is standing and is trying to look at his feet, but notices that there is excessive amount of body fat that impedes him from looking at his feet. He looks to his left and notices that there is a blood glucose testing kit with his name on it because he constantly has to check his sugar level intake. He looks in the mirror and notices that his teeth are falling apart. Willis becomes upset. Now, to put this hypothetical story of Willis to the side, my goal in these few minutes is to simply give you more information on the sugar-sweetened beverages so that you will have a better understanding on how to combat this topic. My name is Blanca Lema, and after doing severe research on the sugar-sweetened beverages through scholarly peer-reviewed articles, I want to provide you with information that will help you relate to the sugary drink problem and will help you understand the significant growing epidemic that we are experiencing. Today, in talking about the sugar-sweetened beverages, we will begin to discuss the health and then we will look at the tax. Let's begin to discuss the health problems. According to the prestigious Dr. Adam Janowski, the head director of the Nutritional Science Program, on average, Americans consume about 45 gallons of sugar-sweetened beverages alone per year. That is 39 pounds of sugar. Can you even imagine having 39 pounds of sugar in your stomach? That's like having a 5-year-old child in your stomach. Janowski acknowledges that the consumption of the sugar-sweetened beverages shows overwhelming evidence of the rising rates of obesity in the United States. And if that isn't enough for us, through his collaborative work of Dr. McCannon, affiliated with the Department of Medicine, addresses that current evidence suggests that the higher consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages are associated with the excess calorie intake, which leads to weight gain and an increased risk of obesity. Not to mention that the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages also appears to increase the risk of diabetes, hypertension, coronary heart disease, dental erosion, higher blood pressure, and a higher risk of stroke. As you can see by this evidence, the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages is not only linked to obesity, but through other things such as diabetes and other cancers. This growing epidemic that we are experiencing in the United States is not only affecting our country, but our nation and the world for all that matter, and possibly our next generations. With this in mind, now that you understand the health, let's move on to discuss the tax. If there is a sugary drink problem, what can we do to solve this problem? In the New England Journal of Medicine, Dr. Baumwell explains that taxation is possibly the best strategy to reduce the sugar-sweetened beverage intake and to improve the nation's nutrition, generate revenue to help combat the health problems, and recover from medical and insurance costs. Baumwell explains that cities and states have already tried to implement sugar-sweetened beverage policies, but for a tax like this to actually have a difference in our lives, it would have to be pretty big. In fact, Baumwell emphasizes that a national tax of 1 cent per ounce would generate about $14 billion alone and $49 billion in over 3 years. And if that isn't enough for us, in the American Journal of Public Life, Professor Power from the University of Chicago addresses that sugar-sweetened beverages have little or no nutritional value, which lead to empty calories, and that state and local legislators have proposed taxes that range from 1 to 2 cents per ounce, which would lead to the equivalent of increasing the price from 20 to 35% of the original price, which would make a difference. Powell also expresses that any beverage that has added sugar, caloric sweetener, such as sodas, teas, flavored waters, and energy drinks would get taxed. Today in talking about the sugar-sweetened beverages, we began to discuss the health, and then we finish with the tax. You heard me talk about the sugar-sweetened beverage problem and how there are health problems associated with the consumption of drinking the sugary drinks. And you heard me talk about this possible solution that would be taxing the sugar-sweetened beverages. Now, back to Will's hypothetical story. If we continue to let the sugar problem become a problem, this hypothetical story of Willis will become a reality to someone's life. Will you let that happen? Support the tax.